Robbins said, change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. My question is, as humans, why do we wait until something is so painful that we can't tolerate it anymore to find the courage to change? After just experiencing a year of extreme uncertainty, you may be feeling pulled to make a change in your life. But how do you use that uncertainty to make positive change? It's a Sunday afternoon in 2005. I go for a run through my San Diego neighborhood, then head home feeling like $1,000,000. Later that day, we pull into the Container Store with my husband Mike, my brother Chad, and my sister-in-law Julie. The guys, they weren't hugely excited about the prospect of home organization, so they ran off to a sports bar instead. I'm standing with Julie in the Create Your Own Closet section, and all of a sudden, I couldn't hold up my body. I leaned back against a table trying to hold myself upright, but I had absolutely no strength. A few moments later, the entire store goes completely black as I hear my phone ringing in my purse. I fumble around in the dark, and I thrust my phone toward Julie saying, "Who's calling? I can't see this." Mike walks up, and I lay my head on his chest and say, "I'm really tired. I need to go home." I slide down his body as I crumble to the floor. Over the next few minutes, I can't see, hear, or move. They scoot me up in a wheelchair, and off to the hospital we go. As we're driving to the hospital, I keep coming in and out of consciousness, and everyone's laughing at me as I keep saying over and over again, "Just take me home. I'm like a computer. I just need to reboot." We pull up to the hospital, and I'm becoming a little bit more aware of my surroundings, and I look up at the building and I say to Mike, "I can't go in here. This is Scripps. My hospital's Sharp. My insurance covers Sharp." He chuckles and says, "No, we're here. This is where you're going." In triage, the nurses kept asking me what I had taken. As I had never even smoked a cigarette in my life, I kept insisting I was clean and sober, but apparently that didn't look like the truth. Later that night, they took me to Sharp by ambulance because even in my haze, I was right. My insurance covered Sharp. After hundreds of questions and tests, they tell this healthy, vibrant, 29-year-old woman who woke up that morning feeling like $1,000,000 that she threw a blood clot to her brain and had a stroke in the middle of the Container Store. The next few days were a complete haze of testing my cognitive abilities and physical deficits. But eventually, late Wednesday night, they cleared me to go home. I don't know what you would do after a stroke, but Thursday morning at 7 a.m., I was sitting at my desk, ready to see clients. I was so focused on doing what everyone expected of me that I wasn't listening to my own body. I believe that when we're living a life that doesn't fit, our bodies try to tell us. They start first with a whisper, then a shout. If we still aren't listening to the shouts, our bodies will full-on knock us down. In order to better understand how a healthy woman had a stroke in the middle of the Container Store before age 30, let me give you some backstory. The mantra in my house growing up was, go to school, get good grades, get into a good college so you can get a good job, work there 40 years, and retire with a large retirement account. I was a good girl. I did exactly what was expected of me. Perfect attendance, good grades, good college, good job that grew to a 6-figure finance career, and $1 million San Diego home. From the outside, it looked like I had it all, but on the inside, I was miserable. I believe that if you aren't growing, you're dying. I knew I needed to make changes in my life, and in looking for opportunities to grow, I learned about the lizard brain. Your lizard brain is your amygdala, a small almond-sized section in your brain that is responsible for your most primal instincts of fear, hunger, and arousal. Your amygdala initiates your fight or flight response. Originally, our lizard brain kept us safe from a bear attack or a stampede of wild buffalo. Today, we're not really in danger of a stampede of wild buffalo. Today, our lizard brain causes us to fear anything that is unknown or uncomfortable. Do you know the number one fear of Americans? According to a Chapman University study, the fear of public speaking is the number one fear in America, with over 25% of Americans saying they are afraid to speak in front of a crowd. This is higher than the fear of heights, the fear of spiders, or the fear of snakes. Why? Because we're afraid to embarrass ourselves in front of other people. In 9th grade speech class, I was so afraid. I couldn't describe how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, something I had done thousands of times before. At that moment, I went and chose the scariest growth I could think of. I went and joined the debate team. My heart still races before I get on a stage, but I choose to go deeper than my lizard brain and not allow my fears to stop me or define me. Maybe today you're sitting in a place in your life where you know things just aren't quite right. You're unhappy in a relationship, in a job, in a career, or in some other aspect of your life, but you're afraid to make a change because the fear of the unknown is scarier than what you're experiencing right now. We have recently experienced some of the biggest changes we may ever see in our lifetime. Quarantine, businesses shuttered, record unemployment, and political unrest. Millions of people who thought their lives were secure found that their world could change in the blink of an eye. Crisis creates change, and in the midst of crisis, humans find resilience. 5 popular companies we know and use today were founded in the 2008 Great Recession and contributed to big change. Venmo, Groupon, Instagram, Uber, Slack. These 5 companies disrupted entire industries to change how we send money, travel, communicate, and purchase goods and services. This year, Zoom video has surged 658% and overtaken ExxonMobil in market capitalization. Think about that. A niche application founded in 2011 is now larger than a 135-year-old oil company founded by John Rockefeller. Today's uncertainty actually provides our lizard brain the perfect opportunity to take a risk and choose change. For me, after the stroke, I ignored my body's whispers, shouts, and it even quite literally knocking me down. I doubled down on being successful. I worked harder. I took on bigger clients, but it came with some side effects. I gained almost 50 pounds. I opened the wine bottle, actually the entire wine cellar, on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, just so I could stop thinking about my upcoming week. I had done everything the world said would make me happy, but I was more miserable than ever. I was so afraid of change that I just kept doing what I had always done, and I kept getting the same unhappy results. In my finance practice, almost 50% of our clients were widows who were often left completely unprepared to administer multi-million-dollar businesses and the families that depended on them. As such, when they were thrust into scary change, their bodies started to whisper and scream with stress. Some microwaved their shoes. Yes, in the midst of crisis, they accidentally microwaved their shoes. Others broke out in shingles. In observing these physical manifestations of stress, I knew I wanted to empower women to be better prepared to handle things before scary change was thrust on them. So I worked days in my finance career, and I spent nights working to launch my first business, 2 San Diego fitness studios. Then, a couple years later, I added a consulting business, focused on helping other women just like me. Women who had achieved tremendous levels of success, but woke up one day and wondered, is this as good as it gets? Am I destined to end my life here? It wasn't always easy. My lizard brain was totally right to be afraid. Instead of being responsible for 35 wealthy clients, I was responsible for thousands of clients and a staff who counted on me to provide paychecks and financial stability. There were lots of challenges and opportunities to quit, but every time I was afraid to move, I looked for the one task that was so small I couldn't fail, the one task I could complete and find success. In the process, I learned that in helping others, I became happier and more fulfilled myself. Why? Because you can't be scared and hopeful at the same time. Fear and gratitude cannot coexist in the same moment. So if you're sitting here today and you feel pulled to make a change in your life, but you aren't certain what to do next, start small. Go give to someone else in need. I love Nike's mission statement, to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. If you have a body, you're an athlete. And to boil their mission down to its essence, it's their tagline, just do it. Today's uncertainty actually allows you to go take that risk, make that change. And today, 15 years after that stroke, I remember that every single day is a gift. Every day is an opportunity for you to be better today than yesterday. So what change do you want to make in your life today? What are you grateful for? What are you hopeful for? What one small action can you take today that is too small to fail? Just do it. I believe in you. Your one small action may have the power to change the entire world.